Alrighty, guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Growing Up Dandy. This one's gonna be a little more personal, being like telling you guys about like what we did recreationally as a family when I was a kid. There wasn't much you could do in the area because I was raised in Black Oak, Arkansas, so it's a very teensy weensy town. So basically, what we did was a lot of renting movies, a lot of watching movies. And traveling. So I know for a fact that one of our most watched and most favorited movies that we enjoyed as I was growing up was the movie Crossroads. Now, mind you, that is Crossroads with Ralph Macchio, not Crossroads with Britney Spears. We watched a lot of Crossroads. We watched a lot of the band. We watched a lot of just funny stuff like that. So it's just like little things like that. We would go to the movies. So my first movie I ever saw in the movie theater was Roadhouse. I know that seems a little, R-rated for a 5-year-old girl to go see in a movie theater, but I mean, I thought it was awesome. Fucking Roadhouse. Shit, yeah. So we went and saw movies, and I don't mean like kid-friendly movies. Like, my parents never treated me like a kid. I was always treated as like a very small adult, which I think helped mold me into the extremely street smart and wise person I am today, and I couldn't be more thankful for it. It's a lot of funny memories as a kid. People are like, "Oh, so do you watch Sesame Street?" And you're like, "No, I watch Law and Order." But yeah, so it was a different time. It was the 80s. I don't know. But yeah, we did a lot of things. I do remember my favorite kids things growing up. My dad loved The Neverending Story, so we watched a lot of The Neverending Story. And as far as a kid show that I got to watch was Fraggle Rock. Growing up, we had HBO, so we watched a lot of stuff like that. Fraggle Rock was the jam, to the point so I had a cat named Doozer, which is the little green guys from Fraggle Rock. I'll show you right here. Boop, Doozers. I had a cat named Doozer for 22 years. That cat lived to be 22. So yeah, we had two great big dogs, two Great Danes, one Harlequin Dane named Geronimo, and one albino Dane named Maggie May. Those Danes were huge. I remember being a little bitty kid and crawling on them like horseback. They were so patient with me. And Dad had them all the way back in the day, back in the lodge. You can find pictures of the lodge, of them like standing outside the front of the lodge, and Dad's got Geronimo to the left of him. So those dogs were around my entire childhood. I remember when they died, we were all on the road, and I remember Mom getting the phone call from Dad's mom and dad, my grandparents, on the road, and she was just shattered. I remember we were in some hotel, some city far away, and she hangs up the phone and she starts crying, and I'm like, 8, I don't know what's going on. I'm like 8 or 9. I'm like, Mom, why are you sad? And she's like, don't worry about it. We'll tell you when you get home. So I didn't know what was going on, but she didn't want me to have a bad time on the road. So she didn't let me know that one of the dogs had died until we got back to the house, which is really sweet. Our family dogs are buried behind my grandma and grandpa's house in Black Oak, where my dad currently lives to this day. So it's sweet that I get to go visit, Dad, and the dogs are there. That was really cool. So yeah, we did a lot of like seriously normal shit. Like, other than just like abnormal subject matter, it was still normal stuff. Like, we went to the movies. We, did things like play video games. I remember, I have a lot of brothers. So I remember I have older brothers, my 2 older brothers when I was younger, Jim Dandy Jr. and my brother Cole. We had like an Atari. So I remember like ColecoVision. I remember growing up playing video games and, watching like hilarious things like Fraggle Rock and stuff like that. Like, my childhood was super happy. So people think that like, oh, your child's raised in rock and roll and she's around rock and rollers all the time, it's going to be a bad situation. She won't have a good childhood. That's bullshit. I had an amazing childhood, and I wish everybody could share it with me. The only thing that's different is like things I can't relate to, like I can't relate to sleepovers. I can't relate to having a lot of friends come over to the house because, like, you know, I'm sure you can see from my other growing up dandy videos, kids didn't get to come over to my house, you know, because their parents were fucking stupid. So, you know, I didn't have a lot of friends, but there was, like, my age, but I had tons of friends that were, you know, grown-ups. My brothers were amazing. They included me in all kinds of stuff. Like, I was never, you know, bullied by anyone. I feel very lucky to that point, but yeah, man, it's great. And even though my mom and dad are split up, they're still super good friends to this day. So whenever I'm doing this, like these stories, I'll call and I'll ask mom and dad. I'll be like, hey, do you guys remember blah, blah, blah? Or I'll, like, you know, ask them their version so that way, because, you know, being young, your memory's not going to be 100% accurate. I mean, you were fucking 5. So I always call them to make sure my accuracy is correct and also to see their version of the story, like dad's version versus mom's version. So it's a lot of fun. I'm super thankful that they're still super good friends and love each other to death. There was a lot of watching Crossroads. Dear God, we probably watched Crossroads 478,000 million times. I remember being like, after I moved out, and I was like, I'll never watch Crossroads again in my life. And now I own the DVD and watch it all the time just because it reminds me of my childhood and sweet happy days of, you know, everybody laughing and having a good time. So it's just funny how little things when you're growing up, you think you're going to fucking hate forever, and then you end up loving them because they remind you of your rad childhood. And we went out to the movies. So, like, we'd go to Jonesboro, we'd go to Memphis. And when we went to the movies, we did rad things. Like, I remember us going into, like, the little arcade at the movie theater. And I remember me and dad, like, loved playing pole position, which was, like, this old school game of, like, video cars, like, from the Atari. And it was like, boop, 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 boop. And then you'd go. That was, like, the bombest memory as a kid, like, me and dad playing pole position. So you never look at him and think, oh, I bet that guy used to whip his kid's ass at pole position. But he did. And it was a great childhood. Anyways, just wanted to share that with you guys. Until next week, dudes. Peace.